Hello, class. My name is Jada, and for my term project, I am experimenting with yeast reactions in different growth environments. So this is my mise en place. To get started, you're going to need 6 empty water bottles, a funnel, some dry active yeast. That white bowl right there is some granulated sugar. I've got my measuring spoons. The first small glass bowl is baking soda. The second small glass bowl is kosher salt, and that red shot glass is vinegar. You are also going to need warm water and latex balloons. So what you're seeing here is me just putting my variables into the bottles. Bottles 2, 3, 4, and 5 all have 1 tablespoon of sugar in it. Bottle number 1 is just water. Bottle number 2 is just sugar and water. Bottle number 3 is sugar and salt. Bottle number 4 is sugar and baking soda. Bottle number 5 is sugar and vinegar, and bottle number 6 is just vinegar diluted with a little bit of water. So now all you're seeing is me just putting the ingredients into the bottles. I chose this experiment because I bake fairly often. Actually, I bake roughly twice a week, and I would love to start incorporating new yeast recipes into my recipe book. Here, you're just seeing me check my water temperature. My water temperature is about 120 degrees. By the time I pour it into my plastic bottles, the temperature will reach about 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, what you're seeing here is me adding my hot water into each of the bottles. I'm adding 1 cup of water. And then I am adding 1 half tablespoon, of instant dry yeast. Then you're going to see me swirl each bottle around and cap it with a latex balloon just to try and catch some of the gas that omits from the reaction, if any at all. One thing I noticed about this experiment is I was actually it didn't really go as well as I thought it did. I personally feel as though my water may have been too hot. The water was the same temperature all around. However, it does look like the blue balloon, which was the bottle with the sugar and baking soda, that seemed to have the best reaction. So what exactly is yeast? Yeasts are single-celled microorganisms that fall into the fungus kingdom on the taxonomic ranking. There are many kinds of fungi, from like infections to mushrooms. Yeasts are actually such a common fungus that we often don't realize how important they are to everyday food consumption. Yeast is used in making pastries. It's used for making beer and wine, even some artificial sweeteners. You can find it naturally in fruits, flowers, in the air. Yeast is almost everywhere. So with yeast found in so many things and needed to create so many things, that begs the question, under what conditions is yeast ineffective? So in my experiment, I'm just comparing yeast growth in various mediums, preferably with different acidities. Now, in my research, I've learned through multiple baking sites that when you are proofing yeast for making yeast doughs, it's best to have like milk and sugar, or like warm milk and sugar. Some websites have said that it's good to add a little bit of vinegar to kind of catalyze the growth of the yeast. However, adding too much vinegar will kill the yeast. So my hypothesis is that Yeast cannot survive in like a super acidic environment. A little bit of acidity is okay, but a super acidic environment is not good for yeast growth. I wanted to do this experiment because I bake very often, like roughly twice a week. I think I may have mentioned that before. And I really do just want to have a better understanding of how to use yeast. I want to be able to create my own recipes and work with my own measurements that I came up with rather than something that I found on the internet. So, as you can see, it kind of looks like my hypothesis isn't necessarily true. Um, in a few moments, you'll see me shake the bottles around and you'll see that the pink, which is the vinegar only solution, that balloon actually tends to blow up a bit. Like that balloon blows up a little bit. And that kind of begs me to think that there is some kind of chemical reaction, or if there is some kind of fermentation or yeast growth process that is happening here. Again, with the sugar and the baking soda, I'm not entirely sure if that blue balloon is standing upright because of how the yeast is reacting, or because of how the baking soda is reacting with the hot water. Again, that does create a chemical reaction on its own. It's how you are supposed to test if your baking soda is even fresh to begin with. It does look like my hypothesis is sort of incorrect. I figured that the strongest solution or the strongest reaction would have came from the sugar, or at least the sugar and salt, but it comes from the sugar and the baking soda. And surprisingly enough, we actually have a little bit of a reaction with the vinegar only solution.